Interstate 880. Yeah. All right. We are back in California after being there last week for California 57, but now we're on the north side, and you'll see the signage is quite a bit different in the Bay Area than what they do in LA. Let's take a look at the route of Interstate 880. We see it starts down in San Jose, and it ends right near the Bay Bridge over into San Francisco in Oakland. All right, let's talk about northbound 880 to start out. We start out here on California Highway 17, which becomes 880 after passing by 280. So here's our intersection with 280. It's signed for San Francisco, and for downtown San Jose, we are signed 880 for Oakland. And if we look at the interchange from 280, we see 280 downtown in San Jose, north 880 for Oakland, and California 17 south for Santa Cruz. Coming the other direction on 280, it is exactly the same. We get 880 Oakland, 280 signed for San Francisco in this case. You're watching Control City Freak. This is the YouTube channel where we talk about highways and the places that they're signed to go to. If you dig this kind of content, why not give us a like? And if you really like it, why not subscribe? Yeah, subscribe. At random interchanges, we see we are getting 880 north for Oakland. This is actually our first interchange. 280 and 17 are signed the other direction. Here we're meeting California Highway 82, and we're getting our exit for San Jose International Airport, the only one in the Bay that I haven't flown to. And here is a look at the airport. We can see it pretty well from this freeway. We're now meeting the 101, and the 101 is signed north for San Francisco, of course, and south Los Angeles, which is quite a swing, but if you were in San Jose and you wanted to get to LA, that would be the road you'd want to get on. You would eventually want to make your way over to the 5. I got 5 on it. But this is, from here, the fastest route to Los Angeles, so good signage. Our first exit request, this is exit 8 for Mountain View, and this was requested by Sailorvista, and Sailorvista requested this exit on the Patreon. Thank you so much for that. And that is right, we've got a Patreon going, so if you are a Patreon member on some tiers, you can get free exit requests, and also you can support the channel directly and see this stuff early and without these promos. You can also request exits the old-fashioned way by doing a $5 super like on any video, so thanks so much for those of you who do. We've got 301 coming up in 2 weeks, so that's a big one. We've got an express lane forming here, and this is Fremont. We're in Fremont now, which is the 4th largest city in the Bay Area, I believe. Here we're getting Mission Boulevard to Sacramento. Wow. It's kind of a swing, and 680 for Sacramento. So I guess 680 is going to take you up to 80 to get to Sacramento from here, so that would work. And here is our exit for downtown Fremont. As I said, it is the largest pure suburb, if we're not counting San Jose as a suburb. And San Jose is actually the biggest of the 3 Bay Area cities population-wise. Here we are getting California 84 West. That's for the Dumbarton Bridge. That is one of the large bridges across the Bay and the southernmost one. And here's our next bridge, the San Mateo Bridge. So we've got this sign for Half Moon Bay and San Mateo, the San Mateo Bridge. And this is in Hayward, California, which is where a lot of these roads are signed to in the Bay Area. Also, this exit was requested by Vdub Productions because he says to him, this screams Hayward. This exit off of the Nimitz Freeway, which is what 880 is. And if we look at the sign further down, we see this choice sign, Cal State University East Bay, which is where Vdub Productions has recently graduated from. So congratulations to you on your graduation, and thanks for the request. Really appreciate it. Now we're getting 880 signed for Oakland on a pull-through, and Castro Valley and Stockton, 238 to 580. So the dreaded 238. First off, this was requested by Boss King Inc. I really appreciate that. Thank you. And we'll catch another request for this road on the flip side. 238. I don't know. It used to be California Highway 238, and that's why it has the weird name. At the time that they built it, California was out of numbers for X80s. They could make it 480 now, since 480 no longer exists, but at the time they didn't have any 80 numbers to use, so they did this weird, there is no I-38, but we've got I-238. It's a weird quirk, it's kind of annoying, but for me on the lists of things that us road geeks always harp about, you know, the former I-95, Gap, and Breezewood, and US 400, and things like that, 238 is probably least concerning one for me. I do understand the history a little bit, although there really isn't any reason to not just switch it to 480 at this point, or to just not sign it at all because it is so short. After 238, we get to Oakland city limit. Here in southern Oakland, we are getting an exit for the Oakland Airport, which is next to the bay on the south side of town, just like in San Francisco. And here is our exit for the Coliseum. So this is kind of the reason we're doing this episode, because the Royals will be in town playing the A's. And here is a look at the Oakland Coliseum. I've been there. I mean, what they say is true. It is a dump, but I'm totally not down with this Oakland moving to Vegas thing. I do think Oakland is a fine city. They deserve a baseball team. They've had a baseball team for a long time, and it's not their fault that the Raiders ruined this stadium by building Mount Davis on it. It actually wasn't that bad of a stadium before that. And right next door here is the other arena where the Warriors played and abandoned and moved over to San Francisco. It's a perfectly fine place for the Warriors to play, honestly. They had a lot of good years there. Right here we've got the Coliseum Flea Market right there, so I've not been over there before. It looks like it's not too busy at this time, but maybe it is other times. And a little further north we've got these warehouses with tons and tons of graffiti on it. I tried to look up to find a little bit more about this and why it's just this one area, and if it's sanctioned or non-sanctioned. I guess it's non-sanctioned. It is kind of interesting looking though, just right here, this one spot. We've got a laundry list of exits here, and we are starting to see the Oakland skyline in the distance. And here we are getting the Embarcadero, so they've got an Embarcadero in Oakland as well. We're crossing this little river here, and that leads over to Lake Merritt, which is within the city of Oakland. We're getting pretty close to downtown now, Broadway downtown coming up. Got a BART station at this exit. And at this point, now that we are pretty close to downtown Oakland, random interchanges are signing 880 north for San Francisco because it's going to be dumping into 80. 80 goes between 80 and 580. There's a lot of different directions you can go there, but I do think San Francisco is the best choice, and it's probably where most of the traffic is going. We get this digital sign here. We see SF downtown is 15 minutes or so away. We see Walnut Creek 17 minutes away going the other directions. These are all three different directions you can go to from the MacArthur Maze. Emeryville and Powell Street use 980 to 580 west, because even though when we get onto I-80 we go right through Emeryville, we don't actually get an exit for it. So to get an exit for it, you'd have to be coming from 580. So that's why they're telling you that. So good signage here. We're getting 980 coming up, 980 to 24 Walnut Creek, and this is Broadway and downtown. Here's a look at the Oakland skyline. I've spent a little time in Oakland. My buddy was house sitting there for a long time. Actually, for a while it seemed like everybody in Lawrence was moving to Oakland, so I hung out with lots of my Lawrence friends in Oakland in the late 90s. Here's another good look at downtown Oakland from the freeway here. And now we're getting 880 to 80 San Francisco and Berkeley, so we're throwing Berkeley on there. And we are getting 980 to California 24 Walnut Creek. Walnut Creek is actually the first place I ever stayed in the Bay Area. The first time I ever went, my cousin was living out of Walnut Creek, so I crashed at his place for a couple nights there. Here we're getting Market Street and the Harbor Tunnel. That is the ramps for 980 leaving right there that we are going under. And from here, this is a relatively new alignment of 880 after the Loma Prieta earthquake shattered the Cypress Expressway. They had to rebuild it, and they didn't rebuild the same way. They built kind of around this industrial area, which I think is a better idea instead of going right through the neighborhood. And we get a good look at the Port of Oakland, one of the largest ports in the US, and we head toward I-80. Here's basically our last real 880 exit and West Grand Avenue for an industrial part of Oakland right here. 80 now signed for San Francisco and Sacramento, so we're losing the Berkeley thing. And we see we are going to have a choice. In the left lanes, we can go San Francisco Bay Bridge, over the bridge, and 880 East and 580 West, San Rafael and Sacramento, because we end up on that. But we don't have a choice to go eastbound on 580. To do that, you would have had to take 980. Here is our actual split, and we will follow the west ramp first, but we'll take a look at both because they're cool ramps. Get a sign telling us about the toll coming up for the Bay Bridge. And here is what it looks like as we head into 80 West, and we can see the Bay Bridge in the distance over there to take that over to San Francisco. The ramp to 80 East is interesting as well. It goes really high. It seems to be the highest, tallest ramp in this MacArthur Maze. And if we look back from the highest part of this ramp, we get a really good view of downtown Oakland. And here we are heading toward 80 and 580. We get this big sign for Emeryville there on that Costco, although I feel like the Costco and the IKEA next to each other say Emeryville already. We don't really need the sign. All right, let's take a look at southbound I-880. We're going to look at 880 from a couple directions coming from the MacArthur Maze. This is right after you get off the Bay Bridge. We've got West Grand Avenue, Oakland International Airport, use 880 south. 880 sign for Alameda and San Jose. For 24, they're saying use 580 east, sign for Walnut Creek, Hayward, and Stockton, because you can't get a 980 from 880. Here we're coming closer, so we're getting 80 for Berkeley and Sacramento, which is well signed, 580 for San Rafael, and we are getting east 580 for downtown Oakland, and that is good signage, telling you to go 580 to get to downtown Oakland. We'll see more why in a minute. And we are getting 880 Alameda, San Jose, and not signed for Oakland. So once we are on 880, here is our first exit, this West Grand Avenue, Maritime Street. This is in that industrial area. And let's take a look at 80 westbound heading toward this interchange. So 80 San Francisco, toll, the toll being the Bay Bridge, left 580 downtown Oakland and Hayward and Stockton, 880 for Alameda, San Jose, not Oakland. Same as what we saw before. So before we rejoin 880, let me show you what it used to look like. This is where the Cypress Freeway used to be, the part that was destroyed in the Loma Prieta earthquake. It used to go right through the middle of West Oakland, and it was of course a double-decker freeway to have a smaller footprint, but it still probably wasn't so great for being there. So then when they rebuilt 880, they built it around this industrial area and around the edge of town, as you can see. The red line is where the Cypress used to be. And if we go down there on the surface streets, we can see the memorial to the freeway destroyed by the earthquake, and that was the biggest death point of that Loma Prieta earthquake. I do remember seeing lots about that when I was a kid. All right, here we are back to 80 eastbound ramp onto the current 880. And here is where the two ramps come together to form 880 proper. So we get this exit for Broadway and Alameda. It's signed for Alameda because you cross the bridge right over there into Alameda. But we don't have any exits at all in downtown Oakland on this road. So that's why before they told us take 580 to downtown Oakland, because 580 take over to 980 to get downtown. 880, there's nowhere downtown to get off. There are places to get on 880 southbound, but nowhere to exit southbound. Here is where we meet 980, and we go right under 980 with no way to get on it. And at random interchanges, we are getting 880 San Francisco and San Jose. So that is sensibly signed. We continue heading through downtown Oakland. And here is that river that leads to Lake Merritt once again, and this way it leads out to the bay. And here we are, exit 40, 16th Avenue, Embarcadero. So that's a couple miles down from the last exit we had, and we passed through the entirety of downtown Oakland in that time. Here is the graffiti area once again, headed southbound. And down here we are still getting exits for Alameda, and we get Fruitvale Avenue as well. And here is our exit for the Coliseum and for the basketball arena. So we'll take another look at the Oakland Coliseum right here. This is, as I said, where the Royals will be playing shortly. I've seen a game here before. It was actually quite fun. It was a Royals game in 1999, and my buddy and I bought tickets for $6, and we ended up sitting in skyboxes at some point because they didn't really care what you did, at least at a Royals Oakland game in May in the 90s. And here is another exit for the Coliseum and also for the Oakland Airport at this same exit. And we are meeting 238 once again, and this was requested by Benjamin Chandler, so thank you so much, I really appreciate that. And we're getting the same kind of thing, Castro Valley and Stockton, 238 to 580. It is kind of weird how Stockton is on the 5, but it's never a primary control city on the 5. The only place it's ever a primary control city is on 580, which doesn't go to Stockton. In fact, you'd have to get off at 205 or whichever one that is to cut over to the 5 and go back north to go to Stockton. I believe it's probably signed that way because 580 runs the route of historic US 50. When US 50 used to come out to the Bay Area, it was US 50 continuous around the 580 and then the 5 and then back up through Sacramento. And we're getting Fremont city limit. We see Fremont 230,000, so pretty healthy population for a suburb. Now we're getting this Warren Avenue to 680 once again. And coming off of that, if you were coming from 680 over, we get 880 South San Jose, 880 North Oakland. So no surprise there, well signed. Heading south, we got exits 8A, 8B, 8C, 237 signed for Mountain View. So get off this exit, I guess, if you want to go visit Google. And if you're there, tell them to, pump up my videos more. Here's where we enter San Jose at this sign for Brokaw Road, although I did not see any Welcome to San Jose signs whatsoever, and I looked quite a bit around here. We're about to meet the 101, so the 101, South Los Angeles and North San Francisco, well signed here. And here is our exit for the southbound 101 for LA. We see First Street coming up shortly. This was requested by Benjamin Chandler as well. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. He wanted to see this exit for downtown and North First Street. So this downtown, they mean downtown San Jose, First Street to Taylor. And it's because we don't have an interchange with California 87 due to airport concerns. In fact, here is where we pass under California 87. California 87 and 880 are the only two freeways that meet in California without an intersection. And again, the reason is because the airport is so close, so they don't want to build any tall ramps that could potentially interfere with air traffic. Up on top of that bridge on California 87, right above 880, this is about as good of a view of downtown San Jose as we get anywhere adjacent to this road. And here is where 880 is going to be ending. We get San Francisco and downtown San Jose as our choices for 280. If we go straight ahead, we'll be on California 17, sign for Santa Cruz. All right, let's take a look at Todd's the way it should be for Interstate 880. I'm going to say it should be northbound, Oakland and San Francisco. Just the way they do it, very simple. It's the way to go. Southbound, San Jose the entire way. I understand putting Alameda on the bridges at the MacArthur Maze, but they could just go with San Jose the entire time too. Either one would work though. And overall, I think Northern California is doing a much better job signing things than Southern California does. All right, I will be back with a gimmick video. And we're going to talk terrible control cities next week, so it should be fun. There's no requests to do for it, but there is 301 coming up the week after that. My name is Todd, and thank you for watching this episode. And until next time, keep on trucking.